Wrath of Man is the latest Guy Ritchie film to come to theaters. This one re-teams him with Jason Statham. I don't know how long it's been since they've made a movie together. I don't think it's been since Snatch, but it could be, I'm not sure. Either way, they're back. This movie is about a man played by Jason Statham who recently lost his son due to a cash truck robbery. These people were robbing a cash truck, and so his son was unfortunately kind of in the way of that. And now Jason Statham, looking to find the people who ultimately did this to his boy, decides to go undercover and take a job with the people working the cash truck, hoping that someone will rob this cash truck so he can come out and just shoot them, hopefully encounter the right people for revenge. With that plot synopsis, you're probably wondering, oh, this is just another, I'm a gruff man who's really upset about the loss of someone in my family and I'm gonna take revenge. You're probably thinking it's gonna be exactly one of those movies. And usually when I go see those movies, I'm kind of like, hoping for the best, you know, because they can easily end up being very generic despite the likable star in the lead, despite even the creative team sometimes, because I know Guy Ritchie made this movie, and also as far as adapting the original film, him and a couple other screenwriters who helped with The Gentleman, a movie I really liked from him last year. But still, because it is this kind of movie, I was going in thinking like this can end up one or two ways. Let's see how it goes. And when the movie opened up, I was not sure if I was really going to like it. The opening scene I thought was kind of awkward, and now that I've seen the rest of the movie, I understand what the goal was with that opening scene, how they did it. It's like a one-take POV kind of shot, but it's just the way seeing it play out was just really awkward to me, and a lot of the dialogue in it too was a little weird, so that was not really a good sign when the movie opened. And then after the title card, it immediately jumps to Jason Statham taking this job with this company, and just there's a literal scene of locker room talk where a lot of the smaller characters that we're going to see later, you know, they start talking with each other and it's all very nasty and crude and all that, and I don't want to fault their dialogue because they are intentionally doing something that way. But after a while, especially as it goes on, the dialogue kind of gets to a point where I was like, okay, some of these lines need to be changed, they need to be removed. It's a lot of attempts at comedy, I think is what it is. It's a lot of their attempts at comedy just really fall flat and just end up being like, ooh, kind of cringy, not gonna lie. And like even like certain like tough guy moments where people say something and it's like this, yeah, this is a really good line of dialogue, and I was just sitting there like, you don't know how corny this is. In the beginning, I wasn't really like annoyed with any of the actors. I thought, you know, a lot of these guys are doing their best. Like Josh Hartnett is there, Eddie Marsan, Holt McCallany, you know, from Mindhunter. And they're not doing bad jobs. It's just, you know, this was a very basic kind of introduction, setting up these very basic kind of character types. So if this is going to be the rest of the movie is just Jason Statham, you know, I'm taking revenge, but I gotta work with these character types, these cliched character types, then I'm not sure how to feel about that. Then, all of a sudden, the movie takes a right turn that I was not expecting at a certain point, and I was like, oh, this isn't a one-man revenge movie. This is actually like an undercover gangster movie. And at that point, the movie got a lot better for me. I was immediately more into it at that point. That twist where Guy Ritchie, because this movie is non-linear, plays with the time of the movie, you know, all of a sudden they were filling in the gaps of like what's there to know about Jason Statham's character and a lot of what really happened before he took the job, and I was like, oh, okay, so now I'm getting some clarity on the Jason Statham character, and now they're also creating a stronger picture here. It's one of those things where because they didn't market it in this way, I don't really want to talk about specifics for your guys' sake, because I really do think it's a movie you could potentially check out and really be into like I kind of was. So I don't really want to talk about specifics about the shift in the time, because this is kind of a non-linear kind of story that Guy Ritchie tells. He goes back again at another point in the movie to fill in more gaps. And that's what I really love about non-linear movies, is that it starts off one way and you're like, okay, is this it? Or I wish there was maybe a bit more to something, and then they jump back and then all of a sudden there is something there. Like, you know, certain characters that made like minor appearances in the beginning half, all of a sudden, like now you're fully understanding what their roles are and what their relationships are to specific people. And I was like, oh, that works. I don't know if this is an aspect of the French film or not. I have not seen that movie, but I think Guy Ritchie was either A, smart to do it this way, or B, smart enough to keep doing it this way like the French movie did. The plot, if you do play it out kind of linearly, it's like the story is still there, and I do like the story, but it is one of those where if you do play it out in a linear fashion, it might not track as well, but by doing it non-linear and having certain reveals happen in the second act, it was like, oh, oh, that actually makes this experience a lot more interesting to me. And even though I did complain earlier about like these character types that he's meeting at this company, is it just going to be that like they just butt heads? Is it going to be exactly what I think it is? But seeing it play out, I was like, no, I think this works. Honestly, like I was way more into everything going on at that point. I still do think that some more time could have been given to some of these characters, but you know, it's kind of like what I said about Godzilla vs. Kong. You get the basic idea of what they're about and you don't really need a whole lot more. But there is like one or two characters that I think could have benefited with a little bit more time, especially like one who has a really big change to make, and I can buy into a twist like that happening. But while I was watching the movie, I was kind of like, I wish there was a bit more to back this, because I'm not really feeling a specific, because you're doing stuff that's like completely against what we've come to know you as with ease, and it doesn't seem like it's a problem to you. Have you always been this way? I don't really know. But I really do gotta give it up to Guy Ritchie in this movie, because he directed this really well. Like, there's an action scene in the beginning that is more in line with like some of the revenge stuff that you would see in a movie like this, and it's really well handled. Like, the gunshots are really loud and great, you know, it's really well staged. And there's another like really big action heist scene near the end of the movie that I thought was really well done. It's really intense, and you're really not sure what is going to happen. Like, anything could happen at this moment, and I thought they did a really great job of making me believe that, even though this is a Jason Statham vehicle. But like I said, because of that sharp right turn where it became a different movie, there are scenes in this where I was like, this is like really dark all of a sudden, like gangster kind of dark. And I really dug it. There's like one scene where they abduct this guy in the middle of the night and like they take him to a place and start torturing him. A song starts playing in the background. It's really well edited stuff. It really kind of like unnerved me. I was like, ooh, what? Oh God, this is really bad. Bad for the character in the scene that it's happening to, not bad for the movie, because in the movie, it works really well. It's one of those that really did kind of unnerve me and kind of left me like, oh, this is kind of fucked up. But I think it made for an all the more interesting Jason Statham character in this. Jason Statham is obviously really good in this, but I think this is definitely a better character than I was expecting going in, because I was just expecting, I'm a man out for revenge, and that's kind of it, you know? And in this, like, yeah, he's out for revenge, but they add in interesting layers that make him a little bit more complex. It's like, oh, okay, you're one of these people who's doing something really kind of out of his league to get revenge. Okay, that's interesting. I really like that dynamic. Even like the villains in this movie, there's really only one villain in this. I won't give it away who it is. I didn't even know he was in the movie, so I'm not even gonna mention his name. I will say though, like, for each time they introduce a new segment, like Jason Statham getting a job, flashback with Jason Statham's life, flashback for these villain characters, a lot of it is very basic introductions, and I wish maybe they could have spent a little bit more time just getting to know them a bit more. But like I said earlier, you kind of get the gist of everything going on. I really like the characters that they had fill the antagonistic role, because as I said before, they're not really villains. When you get to learn who they are, it's like, that's actually a really great idea for motivation, and I really buy into it. I think this works really well. Honestly, it's one of those movies where I did not expect much going in, and when it first started, I was like, yep, this isn't going to be good. But then everything started to click. I was like, oh, that explains this. That's why this is happening. Gotcha. And then everything started to work out from there. Like, honestly, it really is one of those movies. I don't want to talk too much about it, so I'm going to cut off the review here, but I would honestly recommend it. I think it does have some issues. I think they could have spent a little bit more time with character work and given a bit more motivation for at least one person in particular. And make no mistake, there is some dialogue in this that is really kind of cringy or just kind of straight up bad that you will have to kind of suffer through. And as I said, the opening scene, I already talked about it. I wasn't a big fan, but overall, I did really enjoy this movie. It has me interested to see the French movie, if this is like a exact kind of rip on it, or if they actually made some artistic changes. I would like to see, but as it stands right now, I really did enjoy this movie. I think they did a really good job adapting it. I'm gonna give Wrath of Man a B-. I thought it had some really intense action that was really fun to watch, a really interesting story, great way of telling it. Guy Ritchie's direction is really great here too. Good Jason Statham performance and character, good performances from everyone else, even though they do have to work with some rough dialogue occasionally. Overall, I had a decent time with this, and maybe you will too. But if you've seen Wrath of Man, leave in the comments below what you thought of it, and as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jason Fulcher. See you guys next time.